It often happens when we're talking to couples about therapy or our couples retreats that one or both feel a certain degree of apprehension, suspicion, or even mistrust of therapy and the therapeutic process. So I thought I'd put this quick video together just to explain my position on this. I think the first thing to say is I sympathise. During my development as a therapist to the person I am today, I mean, I started 35, 40 years ago on this. I embarked on this course like a lot of people because my own life was at that time not exactly in disarray, but I thought I could be happier and learn more. I didn't know anything about psychotherapy. All I knew is that all this stuff had a psych on the front of it. I didn't know the difference between a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or any of the rest. I went off and trained in all that stuff. And learnt about it as I went for something like probably well over 10 years of solid training as it turned out. Anyway, the point is that I came in as a newbie like anybody, and I experienced some quite alarming sessions, experiences with therapists who seem to have their own agenda, and I was left with a pretty negative impression. Now, we're going back a few years, and I wasn't in England at the time either, so I'm not labelling anybody here, but it has to be said that my clients also tell me, clients who do come and see me, that they've previously had some unexplainable behaviour or some strange behaviour, or they just haven't felt comfortable with their therapist, or it hasn't worked for them. Now, I've got pretty fixed views and quite strong views on this because I've often described myself as an anti-therapist. Now, by that, I don't mean I'm anti-therapy, but I am the antithesis of what a lot of people think of a therapist as being. For example, I conduct therapy sessions in my own home. I'll conduct them in a hotel, in the countryside, wherever we happen to be. Very often, the therapy that happens between us isn't recognisable as therapy. I beg your pardon. In fact, as one of my clients said to me some months ago, I was working with this chap over a period of a few short weeks, and we had a lot of laughs. There was a lot of banter, and I said to him, "Look, I'm a little bit worried about." Taking money off you, actually, because this is a business arrangement, and I have to check with you that actually this is working for you, because after the last session we had, and by the way, this guy was training to be a stand-up comedian, so, you know, to some extent it was relevant, I suppose. After our last session, I said to him, it seemed to me that we were really just trading jokes, and we laughed a lot. And how do you feel about that? Because maybe I should fess up, you know, and say, look, am I not doing my job properly? And he said to me something that I will remember for a very long time. He said, well, it's funny you should say that because I thought the same thing. But, he said, what I have to accept is after 4 or 5 sessions with you, we just seem to have a laugh and we have some good conversations, but they do touch something deeper in me. And he said, whether I accept it at the time or not, or I understand it at the time, I go away and the change that I've been trying to bring about happens. Now, in his case, we were dealing with his depression, and he stopped being depressed over a period of weeks. So I guess the proof of the pudding and all that. But the phrase that stuck with me was, he said, we just seem to have these organic conversations and change happens. Now, I couldn't be prouder of that. That absolutely sums me up. So what I want to say here and now to anybody who's watching this who may have apprehensions about therapy, so do I. I'm with you. But let's remember that where I'm coming from as a solution-focused brief therapist trained in Ericksonian principles, if that stuff's important to you, I'm very much about a forward-looking stance about helping the client achieve the outcomes they want to achieve, which we co-create. We discuss them and arrange them between ourselves. And then I know some stuff, and I know a lot of stuff over the years that I've been doing this, some of which still surprises me in its profundity and yet its essential simplicity. This is about human beings connecting in a conversation and enabling something. Now, this goes back way to the beginning of our history. This is not something I can fully explain, but change happens when we create the right environment and we have the right sort of conversation. And what happens in these conversations is that we together, the client and I, or the clients if it's a couple, build on the innate strengths that they have, the experiences they have, the skills and successes that they've had in their lives, and harness those to carry them forward still further. My aim through all of this for the last 30 years has been to make myself redundant. I want to become unnecessary to those people I work with in the shortest possible time. Now, I think that pretty well sums up my take on what I do. I haven't collected over the years testimonials from my clients because I was a little bit sensitive about it. I am starting to do it more now because it's a little bit more acceptable, what with the internet and so forth, and people are more ready to say, yes, I was in therapy with this guy, and yes, this is what I found, and this is how it's worked for me. Now, I'm not saying that it happens in every case. I'm not saying I'm the right person for every couple or every person I work with, but the clients who come and see me, and by the way, I am what is called a single session therapist for the most part. People come and see me for one session. Occasionally they come back for a session or two beyond that. If they do, it's because something is working. And it's the same with couples. Couples consult me, they have an initial conversation with me and with my wife, Angela, when we're working together on these retreats. And it gels or it doesn't gel. Now, if it gels, if we can work together, we do. But nobody's coerced into doing it, and certainly nobody is made to feel more than a little uncomfortable. Now, about discomfort, why would change be comfortable? If you always do what you always did, as they say, you'll always get what you've always got. So inevitably, if you are undertaking a period of transition in your own life, of change, of consolidation of things you want to build on, of losing things you don't want to dog you through your life, whatever it happens to be, that is going to involve a period of personal change. And personal change, by definition, is abnormal. It's unusual for us. So it feels uncomfortable. And that is totally acceptable. That's one of the criteria by which we judge change. But it shouldn't be so uncomfortable that you can't hack it. And the job of anybody in my role as a therapist is to enable that change to happen in the way that is the most, but dare I say it, fun, realistic, pragmatic, practical, and forward-looking, so that the change is something that the client can build into their future life and use. So if you have questions or apprehensions, mistrust or fears about entering into a process of therapy with us, I hope I've addressed some of those concerns. I would say too that this is a stepwise process. The way we recommend it is, if you are considering working with us, then the first step is a phone call. The first step isn't therapy, it's a phone call and a conversation or a Skype chat. And from that point, you then judge, well, is this somebody I can work with or is it not? Do I feel okay about this person? Are they honest? Are they sincere? Do they know their business? Do they know their stuff? Can I work with them? Just as you would with any other professional. And you judge on that phone call whether you take it to the next step, which might be another conversation, it might be a meeting, or it might be entering into a retreat. The choice is yours. So I hope that's helped clear up some misapprehensions if you have any. And this is Barry Winbolt signing out for now, and I hope to see you soon.